In this video, we'll take up the Chapter 6 review homework sheet. So for the first question, it asks us to state the vertex, the axis symmetry, and two other points. So I found the vertex by using the negative b over 2a method. You can easily complete the square as well if you wanted. Now with the vertex, you can find the axis symmetry very easily. Just basically copy the x coordinate. Now as for the two other points, there are infinite points you can find, but I chose to find the y-intercept because it's given to me in standard form, and then using the idea of symmetry, I can find the other point. So in this case, the y-intercept occurs 4 units to the left of the vertex. Okay, the horizontal distance between the vertex and the y-intercept is 4 units, so I can go 4 units to the right and then find another point, and based on the symmetry they must have the same y coordinate, but you're welcome to find any other 2 points. Anyways, that's question 1. As for question 2, it's just basically explaining completing the square process. There's really not much to say. Question 3, question 3 is great. Practice solving a quadratic equation by factoring. So really not much to say. It's just an algebraic skill you really want to practice and master. Question 4, find the x-intercepts, axis symmetry, and the vertex. So what I did was I found the x-intercepts and then I averaged because the x-intercepts are essentially zeros, average is zeros, give me the x-coordinate vertex, solve for the y-coordinate vertex, and then I can get the axis symmetry. So that was basically my strategy. Find x-intercepts first, well, factor, get the zeros, then get the x-intercepts. Once I have the zeros, I can also get the vertex and the axis symmetry. So that was basically, it was quite a bit of work, but it wasn't challenging. Okay, so what about 5? 5, you're solving a quadratic equation, and you're told that x is a real number. So if if the solution you found was not a real number, you had to reject it and you say no solution. Okay, because we're only accepting answers which are real numbers. Anyways, here I saw that the discriminant's negative, so right away I know there's no solution to that equation. B, you factor, you found the solution. 5C, quadratic formula. 5D was factorable, state the solution. 5E, it's not factorable, use the quadratic formula. 5F, you gotta use the quadratic formula. Okay, alright. For question 6, you have 2 pillars, and there's an archway. You can find out how far apart the pillars are by basically finding the points where the archway touch the pillars. Basically find the zeros of the quadratic relation, and those will tell you that the pillars are 40 meters apart. Now to find the max height, you can basically use the zeros and average them, and then you can find the maximum height, which is 10. Now since they say that the pillars are 15 meters tall, add the 15 to the 10 to find the top of the arch, which is 25 meters. For question 7, you have 2 models. You have the cost and the revenue model. So you can take revenue minus cost, and that'll give you the profit function, or the profit model. And then basically you want to treat like a max-min question. How many items should be produced to maximize the profit? And then you actually calculate the max profit. If you don't like this method, you can complete the square. Okay, for number 8, you want to find the zeros using the quadratic formula. Boom, boom, reject the negative because this represents when it hits the ground. Solve for max height, and solve for the time where the max height occurs, and solve for the max height. So these 2 answers could also be found using complete and square, but I chose to do it the other way. Okay, question 9. So basically you have a classic rectangle question. It's a diagonal of the rectangle. So basically it's the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, number 10. This one is a classic rectangle question. And then you use the area formula for a rectangle that will build your equation and then solve the equation. For number 11, you have basically the uniform width question. So build the equation and then solve it. You have to reject the negative because the width of the flower bed cannot be negative. And then you have area of a triangle question, base times height divided by 2. Now this one's actually not factorable, so use the quadratic formula. And lastly, you have another diagonal question. This is a right triangle, so you can use the Pythagorean theorem. It's not factorable, so use the quadratic formula, and the answer is approximately 23.7. And there you go. That's the Chapter 6 review homework sheet. So hopefully everything on this sheet was pretty straightforward.